Welcome to our channel. Today's story is one of silence, heartbreak, and truth. A moment frozen in time on a quiet park bench. What led her here? And what secret is she carrying? Stay with us as we uncover the raw emotion behind. A true infidelity story. His fingers grazed my wrist, sending a shiver down my spine as he whispered those words, each syllable laced with an intoxicating promise. My sister's husband loomed just inches away from me in the shadowy kitchen, the air thick with tension. From the moment our eyes locked, an undeniable spark ignited within me, a longing that has only grown stronger with each passing day. Lightning crackled across the sky, casting a fleeting glow that revealed the ravenous desire in his gaze, and the cold metal of the wedding band encircling his finger. I should have turned back. My heart raced wildly under his fingertips, each beat echoing the thrill of his presence. The storm had descended with a fury, obliterating every hope of escape that lingered in the air. Now ensnared in my sister's lake house with Andrew, I found myself caught in a tempest of emotions, one that had been simmering just beneath the surface for years. As dawn broke, I stepped onto the lakeside property, anticipation swirling within me for a tranquil weekend alongside my sister, Claire. Yet, an unexpected work crisis had tethered her to the city at the very last moment. "Just enjoy the place," she had urged, her voice echoing through the receiver, a hint of excitement lacing her words. "Tomorrow Andrew will arrive, bringing with him the forgotten items that hold the promise of rekindled memories." Her voice drifted away, already slipping into the chaos of the next call, the next meeting that awaited her. I promised her it was fine, my voice steady despite the storm brewing within. A flutter stirred deep within my chest at the mere whisper of her husband's name. "I will be all right." I stood at the window, captivated by the raindrops as they danced and traced intricate patterns down the glass, each one a fleeting moment in a stormy symphony. The lake had vanished into an abyss of darkness, leaving behind only the haunting melody of water tapping against the roof in a relentless rhythm. Storms had always captivated me, their untamed power and unfiltered truth drawing me in like a moth to a flame. Storms, in their raw and untamed fury, never masked their true nature. They roared and raged, unapologetic in their chaos, revealing the power that lay within their darkened clouds. The knock resonated at 7, 3 sharp raps that sliced through the silence of the empty house. I swung the door open, and there he was, Andrew, drenched with rainwater cascading from his dark hair, tracing rivulets down his face. His white shirt clung to his chest, almost see-through as the rain poured down, drenching him completely. "Emma," he whispered, the sound of my name slipping from his lips like a secret longing to be heard. I apologize for the timing. I took a step back, granting him entry, my senses heightened as I noticed the water gathering around his feet on the polished hardwood floor. "Allow me to fetch you a towel." As I stepped into the dimly lit hallway, I reached into the linen closet, the intoxicating scent of lavender fabric softener enveloping me like a comforting embrace. As I turned, I found Andrew looming nearer than I had anticipated, his tall figure almost invading my personal space in the tight confines around us. For a fleeting moment our gazes locked, a spark igniting between us, before I averted my eyes, shoving the towel into his hands with a mix of urgency and unspoken tension. As our fingers grazed against each other, a rush of warmth surged up my neck, igniting a spark that sent shivers down my spine. "Thank you," he murmured, the towel slipping through his fingers as he raked it through his damp hair, each movement a silent acknowledgement of the moment. A single droplet of water traced a path down his neck, vanishing into the shadow of his collar. His gaze was locked onto my face, unyielding and intense. The power flickered ominously once, twice, before plunging us into an abyss of darkness. In the sudden silence, his breathing resonated with a steady calm, each inhale deliberate and measured, while my own came in frantic, shallow gasps. "I should check the fuse box," he said, his voice now a mere whisper, creeping closer with an unsettling urgency. A shiver coursed through me as I sensed his presence, his arm grazing mine in a fleeting moment as he slipped by. In the dimly lit kitchen I struck a match, my hands quivering as I ignited the candles, their flickering flames casting eerie shadows on the countertop. The flickering flames wove a tapestry of shadows that danced and swirled across the walls, creating an enchanting spectacle. I immersed myself in the ritual of making tea, seeking solace in the familiar motions that kept my hands engaged. The kettle let out a sharp whistle, piercing the silence just as Andrew stepped through the door. "No luck," he murmured, his back pressed against the doorframe, a shadow of frustration flickering across his face. The flickering candlelight sculpted shadows beneath his cheekbones, transforming his once familiar face into something perilously alluring, a tantalizing mystery waiting to be unraveled. The shadows loom, hinting at the ominous night that awaits us. As I poured the steaming water into the 2 mugs, wisps of vapor danced and curled between us, creating an intimate veil of warmth. As I passed him his cup, our fingers brushed once more, the contact stretching into a heartbeat that felt both electric and forbidden. His thumb grazed my knuckle, igniting a surge of electricity that coursed through my arm. "Thank you," he murmured, his eyes locked onto mine as he raised the mug to his lips, savoring the moment with each deliberate sip. "You recalled my preference, cinnamon," I murmured, my voice barely rising above a whisper. I focus intently as his eyes deepen into shadows. "Indeed, you have always done so." We ventured into the living room, drawn by the inviting glow of the stone fireplace, which whispered promises of warmth and light in the encroaching darkness. Andrew knelt before the fire pit, his fingers deftly arranging the logs with a skill honed by countless nights spent under the stars. I observed the powerful muscles in his back ripple beneath the damp fabric of his shirt as he toiled, each movement a testament to his strength and determination. Captivated by the effortless elegance of his actions, the fire ignited with fervor, flames dancing eagerly into existence. He settled back on his heels, a sense of satisfaction washing over him, only to turn and catch me in his gaze. A silent spark flickered between us, a profound understanding that hung in the air, heavy with unspoken words, before he severed the bond and sank into the couch. I settled into the armchair across from him, curling my legs beneath me as I prepared for the unfolding conversation. The distance loomed, a bittersweet ache that tugged at the heart. "I heard you've picked up the brush once more," he said, his eyes glinting as he sipped his tea. I nodded, the weight of the moment settling around me like a thick fog. "It sweeps away the clutter in my mind." "Vividly, I recall that exhibition you held long before Claire and I entered the scene." His voice faded into silence. "Your work was nothing short of extraordinary. Truthful." It felt like an eternity had passed, I murmured, as the flickering flames danced across his face. "Everything shifts, people transform," he conceded, his gaze locked onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "Or perhaps they finally shed the facade." Outside, thunder rumbled ominously, a low warning echoing through the air. The rain surged, pounding against the windows with the urgency of restless hands seeking entry. Andrew rose from his seat, his footsteps echoing softly as he approached the cabinet nestled beside the flickering fireplace. He retrieved a bottle of deep red wine, lifting it with a questioning gaze that hinted at unspoken possibilities. "Claire saved this for moments that mattered," he said, a glint of intrigue in his eyes. With a moment's pause, I finally nodded, the weight of the decision hanging in the air. Being stranded in a storm certainly qualifies as a harrowing experience. He filled 2 glasses to the brim, the rich liquid swirling as he approached, a glint of anticipation in his eyes as he extended one toward me. As I reached for it, our fingers brushed against each other once more, igniting a spark that sent shivers down my spine. This time we lingered, neither of us willing to break the connection that held us captive. His skin radiated warmth against mine, the steady pulse at his wrist a tantalizing reminder of life coursing through him. "To unexpected storms," he murmured, raising his glass with a glint of determination in his eyes. "And shelter from them," I replied, locking eyes with him as I brought the glass to my lips. The wine enveloped me with its rich, intoxicating essence, igniting a warmth that spread through my very core. Initially, our conversation danced around the safe and familiar, reminiscing about family gatherings that warmed our hearts, the pages of books that had transported us to other worlds, and the distant places that had left their mark on our souls. As the bottle drained and the flames flickered low, the conversation deepened, weaving a tapestry of intimacy between them. "Do you recall that unforgettable Christmas at your parents' house?" With a steady hand, he poured the rich liquid into our glasses, the amber hue catching the light as he looked up, a glint of mischief in his eyes. As the snow piled high outside, a smile crept across my face, conjuring the warmth of a cherished memory. 3 long days plunged into darkness. Mom was certain that we were on the brink of freezing to death. You played the piano by candlelight, he whispered, his voice barely breaking the stillness of the room. Bach perhaps. Your fingers danced across the keys, as if they were guided by an unspoken connection, each note flowing effortlessly from your touch. My gaze shot upward, a wave of astonishment washing over me. I had no idea that anyone was paying attention. His gaze locked onto mine, an unbreakable connection that sent shivers down my spine. I existed. The admission lingered in the air, heavy with significance. I sprang to my feet, craving space, air, a chasm between us to escape the weight of his piercing stare. I approached the window, my palm meeting the cool glass, a shiver of anticipation coursing through me. Outside, the world had succumbed to an enveloping shroud of darkness, punctuated only by the relentless drumming of rain. A tingling awareness washed over me, a premonition that something was near. The air shifted, carrying the unmistakable warmth of another presence looming just behind me. So close yet just out of reach, I could sense the warmth emanating from him. Emma, he whispered, his voice laced with urgency, as if my name held the key to something profound. I remained steadfast, refusing to look back. Wasn't able to. Is this truly the reason you found yourself here tonight? His voice was a whisper, almost lost in the howling tempest that raged around them. 4 years, I've woven a tapestry of excuses just to catch a glimpse of you. My heart pounded fiercely within my chest. In the glassy surface of the window, his silhouette loomed ominously behind me. His eyes were deep and focused, holding a weight of unspoken secrets. Andrew, we simply can't do this. I felt the sharp jolt of his interruption. God, Emma, do you really think I'm unaware? Since the moment our paths crossed, I've whispered that truth to myself each day. I pivoted, pressing my back against the icy glass. He was nearer than I had ever imagined, so near that I could make out the stubble on his jaw, the scent of wine lingering on his breath enveloping me. What are you trying to convey? I whispered, the truth lingering in the air like a secret waiting to be unveiled. He extended his hand with deliberate slowness, allowing me a fleeting moment to escape. As I hesitated, his fingers grazed my cheek, gently sweeping a strand of hair behind my ear. The touch was soft, imbued with a sense of awe. I found myself lost in thoughts of you, far more than I ever intended. There are moments when Claire and I share the same space, when my thoughts drift to you. The words fell with the weight of stones into calm waters, sending ripples that transformed everything in their wake. As I shut my eyes, the burden of his revelation pressed down on me, mingling with the intensity of his stare that felt like fire against my skin. You can't possibly mean that, I insisted, my heart racing as I clung to the hope that it was real. His hand cradled my cheek, his thumb gliding softly along my jawline, igniting a spark that sent shivers down my spine. Never have I felt a truth so profound. This feels all wrong, I murmured, my hand instinctively moving to press against his chest. Through the damp fabric of his shirt, I sensed the pulse of his heartbeat, quick and powerful, echoing the tension in the air. No, he agreed, his breath warm against my skin, our faces mere inches apart. It is not. In a heartbeat that felt like an eternity, we lingered at the precipice, teetering on the brink of something perilous and unchangeable. Our breaths intertwined, a warm, intoxicating blend of warmth and the rich aroma of wine. A magnetic pull enveloped me, urging me closer to him, overpowering any sense of right or logic that lingered in my mind. In that electrifying moment, a bolt of lightning erupted, casting us in a brilliant, blinding white glow. In that fleeting moment of clarity, Claire's face emerged vividly in my mind. My sister, the unwavering guardian who had always shielded me, who placed her trust in me without a hint of doubt. I pressed my palm against Andrew's chest, a subtle yet firm push that sent him stumbling back, the air thick with unspoken tension. We cannot subject her to this fate. A flicker of pain crossed his features, quickly giving way to a heavy sense of resignation. He took a step back, creating a chasm of space between us. I understand. I had to make sure you understood. I clutched my arms tightly around myself, a shiver coursing through me, the fire's glow failing to chase away the chill that enveloped my skin. How much longer must we wait? He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture steeped in nostalgia, echoing memories that lingered like shadows in the corners of his mind. From the very dawn of time, it all began with that unforgettable dinner, when Claire introduced me to her family for the first time. The moment you stepped through the door in that stunning blue dress, laughter spilling from your lips at your father's joke, an undeniable realization washed over me. The confession lingered in the charged atmosphere, a raw truth that demanded attention, yet carried a perilous weight that made it impossible to confront. I slipped past him, craving the freedom to inhale deeply, to gather my thoughts. "You should have told me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, then immediately shook my head, the weight of unspoken truths hanging heavy in the air. "Absolutely not, that was a mistake you should have avoided, never." He trailed behind me into the kitchen, maintaining a careful distance, as if the space between us held unspoken tension. Could it have altered the course of events? I clutched the edge of the counter, my knuckles turning a ghostly white. Does it truly change everything? He was behind me once more, so near that his presence enveloped me, a palpable sensation that sent shivers down my spine. "Confess that you've never let your mind wander to that possibility. Our story unfolds here." I shut my eyes tightly, battling the undeniable truth that clawed at my throat, desperate to break free. The silence loomed between us, thick with the weight of unvoiced truths. "Your silence speaks volumes far beyond what words ever could," he whispered, his voice barely breaking the stillness. I pivoted to confront him, tears searing at the back of my eyes. "What is it that you seek from me, Andrew?" There have been moments, fleeting yet profound, when I've found myself questioning the depths of my thoughts. There are moments when your gaze lingers on me, and for a heartbeat I lose sight of the truth. "You are my sister's husband." Would that bring any relief to this tangled web? His eyes deepened with an insatiable hunger that stole my breath away. "Everything about this is a struggle," he advanced, and I found myself backing away until the cold surface of the counter pressed against my spine. He positioned his hands on either side of me, a mere breath away, creating an invisible barrier that ensnared me in his presence. His face hovered just inches from mine, his breath a tantalizing warmth against my lips. "If only the world had turned differently," he murmured, his voice thick with unspoken feelings. "If our paths had crossed before." "But we didn't," I cut in, pressing my palm against his chest once more, sensing the wild rhythm of his heart beneath my fingertips. To wish for anything different is merely to inflict more pain on Claire. In that moment, his expression shattered, revealing a raw vulnerability that eclipsed any trace of desire. He took a step back, his fingers tangling in his hair as a wave of frustration washed over him. "I regret burdening you with this weight." I drew my arms tightly around myself once more, a deep ache for his warmth coursing through me, even as I grappled with the knowledge that such longing was forbidden. "Perhaps you should take refuge in the guest room tonight," he suggested, his nod a disjointed and awkward motion. "Indeed, you are absolutely correct." I observed him traverse the dimly lit hallway, his shoulders hunched, dragging his feet as if the weight of the world rested upon him. At the threshold of the guest room, he hesitated, casting a glance over his shoulder that spoke volumes, his eyes brimming with a tumult of unspoken feelings. With a gentle tone he confessed, "It was never merely about the physical. The emotions I harbor for you run far deeper than mere words can express. It has always been this way." The door shut softly behind him, the gentle click resonating with an unsettling finality that echoed louder than any thunderous slam could have. I lingered in the hallway for what felt like an eternity, my heart a tumultuous clash of emotions, desire warring with guilt, longing battling loyalty, before I finally withdrew to the solitude of my own room. That night, sleep slipped through my fingers like sand, elusive and taunting. As I lay in the stillness of the night, my mind raced through the tapestry of our shared history, each moment, every fleeting touch, and every charged glance weaving a vivid narrative that refused to fade. Was there a hidden force, quietly brewing just below the surface all along? Had I turned a blind eye, brushed it aside, or failed to see the lurking peril until it was far too late? The tempest outside mirrored the chaos within, thunder crashing like the turmoil of my restless mind. I envisioned Andrew just down the hall, a restless spirit in the night, pondering my existence as I was consumed by thoughts of him. Dawn crept in, its pale fingers of light reaching out to caress my bed. The storm had finally relented, unveiling a world scrubbed fresh and vibrant, yet enveloped in a profound silence that whispered of the chaos now behind it. As I slipped into my clothes, each movement felt heavy with the weight of the impending confrontation that loomed in the kitchen. As I stepped inside, I found Andrew waiting for me, his figure silhouetted against the dim light, a solitary mug of coffee sitting untouched before him, a silent testament to the tension in the air. His eyes glowed with a fierce, haunting red. His jaw clenched, a silent testament to his relentless resolve, forged in the fires of countless sleepless nights. "Good morning," he rasped, his voice heavy with the weight of fatigue. "Morning," I said, my voice barely above a whisper as I poured myself a steaming cup of coffee from the pot he had prepared. I turned my back to him, creating an impenetrable wall of distance between us. "Emma," he started, but the words faltered on his lips. The chair scraped against the floor, a sharp sound that pierced the silence as he rose to his feet. "Let's not revisit last night," I urged, my voice sharp as I pivoted to meet his gaze. The storm raged, the wind howled, and the isolation enveloped like a thick fog. It was a mere illusion. A flicker ignited in his eyes, a tempest of pain, or perhaps the sharp sting of frustration. "Stop right there. Do not brush aside what transpired as if it were insignificant." "What transpired," I said with caution, "is that we came perilously close to making a grave error. A force powerful enough to obliterate Claire, a force that could have obliterated us." He edged nearer, halting mere inches away from contact. I stood by my words, unwavering and resolute. Each utterance. My gaze locked onto him, tracing the contours of the face I had quietly etched into my memory through the passing years. "I understand. That is precisely what renders this so perilous." His hand rose, lingering just above my cheek, a breath away, before it fell back to his side, leaving a charged silence in its wake. "What are our next steps?" I inhaled deeply, bracing myself against the cool surface of the counter. "A choice awaits us, heavy with consequence. The pivotal decision. And what could that possibly be?" he asked, his voice barely rising above a whisper, as if the very air around them held secrets too fragile to disturb. "We recognize the connection that binds us, and then we release it into the ether. Utterly. For the sake of Claire. For our own sake." He lingered in silence, his gaze intense as he cradled my face, as if etching every detail into his mind. "What if I can't?" "You can," I declared with unwavering conviction. "We are capable of it together. For the alternative isn't merely misguided. It's a brand of selfishness that I could never bear to accept. Would you be able to?" The question lingered in the air, a silent challenge that tested our very souls. Our love not only for one another but for the woman who had placed her faith in us both. With a heavy heart and a lingering hesitation, he finally nodded. "Indeed, you are correct." A tumultuous wave of relief and regret crashed over me, each feeling battling for dominance in my heart. I placed my mug on the table, searching for a distraction for my restless hands. "It's time to begin the packing journey. Tomorrow Claire will return. Let me lend a hand with the cleanup," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. In the dim light of the kitchen, we navigated around one another, each step deliberate, each movement laced with tension, as we sought to keep our distance and evade the electric brush of unintended contact. The tension lingered, a palpable undercurrent beneath every movement, yet now it was tempered with a sense of resignation. As he stood at the sink, scrubbing the dishes with focused intensity, I busied myself with the drying cloth, yet my gaze was drawn to him. I traced the strong line of his jaw, the gentle curve of his lips, and the way his eyelashes danced in the soft light, casting fleeting shadows on his cheeks. I was capturing every detail, etching them into my memory, even as I knew I would have to let them slip away. "I've always wondered," he said suddenly, shattering the stillness, "what might have unfolded if our paths had crossed in another way, if fate hadn't played its cruel hand." As I set the final plate into the cabinet, the door whispered shut with a gentle click, sealing away the remnants of the day. In a different existence, perhaps the tides of fate would have turned in our favor. With a swift motion, he dried his hands on the towel, his gaze locking onto mine as he turned to face me. "But not this one." "No," I whispered in agreement, my voice barely breaking the silence. "Not this one." As the moment arrived for him to depart, we lingered on the porch, the atmosphere thick with the weight of unvoiced farewells. The storm had transformed the world into a shimmering spectacle, as sunlight danced upon the droplets that clung tenaciously to the leaves and grass, each one a tiny prism of life reborn. "Are you going to be all right?" he inquired, the car keys swinging tantalizingly from his fingertips. I nodded, my arms crossing tightly over my chest, a shield against the world around me. At last, a wistful smile graced his lips. In that moment he paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes, before he took a step closer. His arms enveloped me in a hug that felt achingly fleeting yet charged with an intimacy that lingered in the air between us. In a fleeting moment of vulnerability, I inhaled his intoxicating scent, etching the warmth of his embrace into my memory, before reluctantly stepping away. "Goodbye, Andrew," I said, the words heavy with finality, a truth we both felt deep within. "Goodbye, Emma," he whispered, his gaze heavy with unspoken words, conveying a depth of emotion that his lips dared not utter. I stood there, watching his car vanish into the distance, carrying away with it dreams and possibilities that had always felt just out of reach. The ache in my chest was a tumultuous blend of sharpness and sweetness, a poignant reminder of the struggle between choosing what was right and what was easy, of honoring love by the painful act of letting it slip away. Within the confines of the room, I meticulously collected my belongings, determined to obliterate any trace of our entwined night from the space. Before departing, I lingered at the window, the very spot where we had almost breached an unspoken boundary, my fingertips resting against the glass that once held his reflection. Some storms, I came to understand, pass through without leaving a trace of their fury. They seethe in silence, reshaping the world around us in ways that only our senses can grasp. Andrew and I had braved a tempest, emerging transformed, scarred perhaps but unbroken in the ways that truly counted. As I pulled away from the lake house, the sun burst forth from behind the clouds, flooding the water with a warm golden glow. In the depths of my mind, I wrestled with the weight of choices and their inevitable consequences. I pondered the desires that flickered like candles, some embraced, others extinguished. The fragile boundary between love and betrayal loomed large, a haunting reminder that sometimes, the most profound expression of love is found in the painful act of letting go. That evening, Claire's voice crackled through the phone, laced with regret for our missed weekend. She vowed to make it up to me, her words hanging in the air like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Her voice enveloped me, a melody of familiarity and trust, as the heavy burden of the secret I was destined to bear sank deep into my very bones. "It's okay," I told her, my words carrying a weight of meaning that would forever elude her grasp. Some things hold greater weight than others, weeks stretching into months. At family gatherings, Andrew and I navigated the space between us with precision, our exchanges laced with a veneer of civility, yet devoid of warmth. Claire remained silent, her eyes betraying nothing as the shift unfolded around her. Maybe she was so engulfed in her own existence that she failed to notice the quiet transformation unfolding in ours. In the midst of a bustling crowd, our eyes would lock, and an electric current would surge between us, igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and undeniable. Recognition of the paths not taken, a resigned embrace of the realities that can never unfold. In those fleeting moments, the choice we faced loomed before us, a paradox of impossibility and undeniable necessity. One fateful evening, nearly a year after the tempest had ravaged their lives, Claire dropped a bombshell. Andrew had received an enticing job offer across the country. As summer's end approached, the air thickened with anticipation of their impending move. "Will you come to see me?" she inquired, her face aglow with anticipation. The guest room, a stunning retreat, offers breathtaking views of the vast ocean, where the waves crash against the shore in a mesmerizing dance. A bittersweet smile crossed my lips as I sensed a chapter drawing to a close, leaving me grappling with the unresolved echoes of its conclusion. "Of course," I promised, the words slipping from my lips like a shadow in the night, aware that it was nothing but a lie. Some storms reshape the very fabric of the world, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape. Some unveil the truths that have long lurked in the shadows, waiting to be discovered beneath the surface. Andrew and I had braved the tempest and the calm that night at the lake house, emerging with a truth so perilous it dared not be spoken, yet so deep it clung to our memories like shadows in the moonlight. As I stood there, the world around me faded, and all that remained was the moment Andrew's gaze locked onto mine through the rearview mirror as they drove away on moving day. A lingering look that bore the unspoken truths of all we had kept hidden within us. As they rounded the bend, he vanished into thin air. I stepped back into my desolate apartment, surrounded by my canvases and enveloped in the heavy silence of solitude. As darkness fell, I began to paint a new canvas, with storm clouds swirling ominously above the tranquil water, an electric tension crackling in the air, foreshadowing the chaos to come. I toiled through the night, channeling my deepest emotions into art, crafting what words could never convey. Some choices carve deep into our souls, leaving indelible marks that time cannot erase. Some loves, even those that remain unfulfilled, carve deep changes within us. In a world where choices weighed heavy on the heart, Andrew and I stood resolute, embracing honor over fleeting happiness, loyalty over the intoxicating pull of desire. It was a decision I would embrace once more, fully aware of the price it demanded. For there are moments when the truest form of love is found in the painful act of release. And at times it signifies the haunting absence of ever having them in the first place.